kitchen. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you will know how much I love making Gumpaste flowers, and this week I have a new flower tutorial for you. So I'm going to be showing you how to make these really pretty poppies to add onto your cake. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do and you want to see more videos like this, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. Even if you are subscribed, make sure you've hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button, as this will just mean that you'll be alerted every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get started. So the things that we're going to need in order to make our poppies are, first of all, I've just got my coloured gum paste, or this is just the floral paste by Squires. Now I've got a slightly larger ball which I've just coloured in a bright red colour, and I've got some green for the middle. I've got my poppy petal cutter. Now this one is just 2 inches by 1.5 inches, and you can see it's just got this fan shape. I've then got some poppy veiners, and these are by Squires. You'll then need some small lengths of wire. Now this is just 24 gauge wire, and I've just cut 6 lengths into around 4 inches, a small rolling pin, some tweezers, my metal tools, and some edible glue. I've also got some floral tape and some stamen. I've got some cotton. Now you can use cotton or some thin wire, some modelling tools, some edible tints, and some rejuvenating spirit. I've got my kitchen blowtorch, just a foam mat, and the last thing that I've got is some tin foil and a glass to make some little dishes to set my petals in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to prepare are the stamen for the centre of my flower. Now sometimes you can get stamens that have circles on the end. I've just chosen these ones which are a bit more natural looking and go into a slight point. Now you can get these in different colours, so you might want to start with some black ones, but if you're making it a slightly different colour poppy, you might want to colour these in yellow or maybe a brown. So here I have about 30 different lengths, and to make these slightly easier for me to colour and to keep them together, I'm going to take some cotton. Now I've just grabbed some red cotton, but it doesn't really matter which colour you would like. And I'm going to bunch those up and tie that cotton in a knot in the centre. Now if you didn't want to use cotton, you could use some really thin wire and trim off the excess. Now I'm going to bring in some black petal dust and a small amount of green. If you use some rejuvenating spirit with it, just to make a paint, you get a more concentrated colour, and I find that rejuvenating spirit just dries, so you end up with a nice powdered look. Now I'm going to go over all the stamen. Now again, if you were having yellow centres, then you do exactly the same, but just using a yellow petal dust. Now once those stamen are completely covered, I'm just dusting off any excess. But just to make them look slightly more natural, I'm just going in with some of the green petal dust and just popping that on the ends. Once you've got your bundle of stamen in the colour that you're looking for, I'm going to take the centre and just bend that completely in half. Take another length of cotton, and I just want to secure that in place. We're left with a little bunch with the tops all at one end. Now I'm just going to fan those out and just pop this to one side while we make the centre of our flower. I've just got some of my green gum paste, and I'm going to take a small ball of that. Now I want my ball to be around 1/4 of the height of my petal cutter. I'm then going to roll this on the palm of my hand into a teardrop shape and pick up a piece of my 24 gauge wire. Using my round end metal tools, I'm just going to create a loop on the end. Now you can just dip the end of this in some edible glue and pop that in, but because I want to work on this straight away, I'm actually going to use my kitchen blowtorch to heat up the end of the wire. Now once the metal has changed to an orange colour, I can then push this into the end of my flower bud. Be careful because the wire can get very hot. The reason for doing this is when the wire heats up, it will just melt itself against the gum paste and make it nice and secure, so you don't have to wait for the glue to dry. Now I'm going to flatten the end down slightly and bring in my tweezers. Now these are quite fine tweezers. I'm gonna pop a small mark on the top just so I know where the center is. And I just wanna pinch that gum paste. So I'm just gonna push down slightly to give me this raised area and continue going round so I get a star shape. Now I want to give the top some slight shape. So I'm just gonna take my Dresden door and push it in between the two raised areas. I've then got a plate with a small amount of the brown edible tin and the black edible tin. With a really small paintbrush, I'm just going to go in on the top, painting this colour over the raised areas. Just dust off any excess. And that's going to give us the centre for our poppy. Now I'm going to bring back in my stamen and just push the wire all the way down the centre so that that flower bud is surrounded by those stamens. That gives us the centre of our flower. Now the next thing to do is just pop this to one side and make all the petals to go around the edge. Before we start the petals, I'm gonna make some dishes for the petals to dry in. So I've just got a glass and a small square of tin foil. Lay that on the top, push it in slightly, and this is just gonna give me a little dish. Now I'm gonna make a few of these. Okay, so once we've got the dishes, it's time to work on the petals. So I've just got my red gum paste. You can use a veining board where when you roll over it, you just get a slightly raised area that you can add your wire into. Now I'm gonna show you how to do it without one of these balls. So I'm just gonna flip this over just to give me a non-stick surface. I'm going to start to roll out my gum paste, and when it's around 4 to 5 millimeters in height, I'm going to taper down one of the sides, leaving a slightly raised area in the center. I'm going to do exactly the same to the other side and also roll out the top. So all we're doing is trying to get that gum paste as thin as possible, but leaving a slightly thicker triangle that we can add our wire into. I'm going to take my petal cutter and just place that over the top so that the bottom of the petal just sits on top of that raised area, and just cut that out. I'm then going to bring in my foam mat and turn that over. Now using my ball tool, I'm just going to thin out that top edge and just down the sides. Now the reason that I like to do this before I add it into the veiner is so we get that texture all the way to the edge, whereas if we do it the other way around, you're going to flatten out any texture that we add in. Bring in a piece of my 24 gauge wire and just drop the end of that into some edible glue. I can then push that into the raised area of my gum paste and just secure that at the bottom by pinching that onto the wire. Now bringing in my veiners, I've got the bottom veiner, so this one just has a dip and this one is gonna create the shape. So I'm gonna pop that on top, push those both together. Now while it's still in the veiner, I'm just gonna push on the wire slightly just to bend it up so that it will sit nicely in our dish. Carefully remove that from the veiner. Bringing in the tin foil dishes that we've made, I'm not gonna sit it in the center, but I'm gonna sit it on the edge. Now they have between 4 and 6 petals each. So for this one, I'm gonna do 5. So there'll be 2 petals on the top and a row of 3 underneath. So I'm gonna make another 4 of these petals in exactly the same way. And once they're all made, I'm gonna leave them to completely dry so that gum paste has hardened and the edible glue is completely dry. We'll then be ready to put these together with the center of our flower. So I've got my 5 petals and these have completely dried. Now I have left these ones overnight. First thing to do is just prepare the petals so that we can add them. So I'm just gonna pick those up, holding on to the bottom of the petal where it meets the wire. I'm just going to bend that wire back so that we have a nice stem and then our petal which just curves upwards. And I'm going to do this to all 5 of my petals. Now you want to make sure that glue has completely dried, because if not, your petals are going to start swinging around, which is going to make it quite awkward to put the poppy together. Now once I've got my 5 petals and my center, I'm going to bring in my floral tape. Now you just want to pull the floral tape to activate the gum and wet the end with a small amount of water. Now I'm going to pick up the center of my flower and just start to wrap that tape around, and I'm just covering the bottom where all those buds meet. I'm then going to pick up one of my petals and just place that up against the edge. I'm going to wind that round once until I come back on to the other side, and I'm going to place another one of those petals in like so and wind that round. Now this is going to give us our first row of petals, and I'm just doing 2. You can add 3 if you want, and I'm going to pull those up slightly. I then want to go in underneath with my next 3. All we're trying to do is just close up these gaps. So once the tape is sitting so that I can add another one, I'm going to butt that up against the flower and pull that around, and then add in another one and final petal. Now I'm going to pull the floor tape down and just wind that down the whole length of those wires. And once I get to the end, I'm just going to tear that off. Okay, so now all my petals are in place. I can move them around to get the desired shape. So for the 2 top ones, I'm just going to pull these up slightly. And for the 3 underneath, I'm just going to pull these around so that it hides the gaps. So here we have the finished Gumpaste Poppy. Now poppies don't only come in red, they come in a variety of colours. So you can change the colour of the petals and the centre of the flower to make them look exactly how you want. I really hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial and will enjoy making your own poppies to add onto your cakes. If you have enjoyed the video, then don't forget to give it a like, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, then you can head over to the video section of the Cake Spanish YouTube channel to see more Gumpaste flower tutorials. While you're there, don't forget you can subscribe to the Cake Spanish YouTube channel and hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button, which will alert you every time I upload a new video. So until next time, bye!